One of the things that is a special power that white folks have, there are several. I want to focus on two. One of them is the power of modeling. Now, one of the things that a white person can do that a person of color simply cannot do is to show people a model of being a white person grappling with racial issues. Only white folks can do that. So even though I cannot personally demonstrate for you a white person owning up to their connection to racism, I can offer some modeling of someone owning up to being affected by racially problematic thoughts. So several months ago, I was in Minneapolis. I had some extra time, decided to do some walking. As you may know, in the downtown area, there are a lot of skywalks and sky bridges connecting the buildings so that people can walk around downtown during the very cold winter. At the time, I was trying to get in my 10,000 steps a day, so I was walking around kind of randomly. So I'm walking down one of the skyways, and I made the unusual sighting of a black person. Black person, he might have been a guy in his 20s or 30s, shorter than me, he's coming my direction. So I tried to wait for the right time so I could sort of make eye contact with him and perhaps do the kind of that black person nod thing. Like some of y'all might know that this is a kind of silent, subtle thing that a lot of black people do with each other when they're in overwhelmingly white spaces. So at that time, he kind of cut his eyes at me, and I couldn't really tell whether he was acknowledging me or not. So I just was kind of looking at him. As he went by, I noticed that he had a backpack that looked completely empty. I remember, that's kind of odd. Who walks around with an empty backpack? Also noticed he had that look of being somebody from like Somalia or Ethiopia. And you know, there was a strong immigrant population in Minneapolis of those folks. Well, a couple of skywalks later, I think I made a turn, I'm not really sure. I took a glance back, and I noticed the guy's walking in the same direction as me. So that's interesting, since he was going in the opposite direction before. But you know, I'm from Detroit, from the crimey 70s, and so, you know, sometimes my sense of radar can be a little bit more tuned up than necessary. So I kept going, and at some corner, I noticed, I think I made a turn. At some point, I noticed this dude's still behind me. So at that point, I got a little extra nervous. So I'm like, what's this guy doing behind me? Is he up to something? When he looked at me, did he see me as a mark? Why is somebody walking around with what appears to be a completely empty backpack? So I told myself, okay, stop tripping. I want to refocus on just getting my steps. So then I walk a little further. I make some sort of random turn. I don't know. I'm not going in a particular direction. And after I make the turn, at mid-block, I look back, and this dude is still behind me. Now, I would not say that I panicked, but I decided to take some evasive action. So I stopped. I pretended to check my phone. I'm checking my phone, so I keep my eye on him, see, make sure he goes by. When he goes by, he doesn't acknowledge me, and so I breathe a little easier, but I'm still kind of watching him. So before I even get to the third breath, he turns into a little hole-in-the-wall establishment that was a shoe and luggage repair place. It looked like he had like a big greeting with the guy who ran the place, who also looked like he was a Somalian, maybe related, who knows. Anyway, they greet each other warmly, and then the guy who had been stalking me takes his backpack off, and they started talking about it, and it was clear he had brought it there for a repair. So I kind of laughed at my nervousness and thought about this. Here I am doing evasive maneuvers to get Mr. 5'10", 160-pound Somalian terrorist to slip. So I had to even tell myself, come on, man, what's up with that? So, but then I'd ask myself, how much of that nervousness would I have felt and what I've gone through had the guy been like a young white guy? I think it would have been highly unlikely that I would have been going through all that fear, walking around essentially in a mall in broad daylight. So at one level, my cowering and nervousness from like being all tripping out by this skinny guy is really ridiculous. It's kind of funny in a certain way. In another way, though, my thoughts are kind of troubling. On the basis of how this guy looked, I went from seeing a normal guy doing a very normal thing to some highly unlikely worst case scenario, and I had a reaction to that. What I did to him is what people have done to me when they lock their car doors as I walk through the mall parking lot in broad daylight. It's also what happens that cause resumes from somebody named Aisha to get fewer callbacks than those with somebody named Molly. This glitch in thought is called unconscious bias, and it's at the root of a lot of modern racism. Sometimes the consequences are deadly. That glitch in thinking at the level of thought is the same reaction that happened in the minds of the McMichael men who killed Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. It's the same reaction, it's the same thought was in the minds of George Zimmerman who killed Trayvon Martin in Florida. It's the same thought in the minds of Timothy Loman who killed 12-year-old Shamar Rice in Cleveland. Clearly my actions are different than those people who took those people's lives, but my thoughts were, in an important way, no different than theirs. Now I want y'all to notice what I did. I admitted in a public forum that I, an official black person, am subject to racist thoughts. I'm not proud of that, but I told y'all anyway. Now by doing that, I'm hoping to model for you that such admissions are okay. Good people, even wokish black people, are subject to the societal infection of racism. My hope is that by doing that, it makes it just a little easier for you to make a similar admission, even just to yourself, that you sometimes have similar thoughts. I want you to notice something else. When I first told the story, both the tone and my ending to the story put it in a "oh silly me" context. It makes it kind of humorous, light, relatable, and non-judgmental. But then I gave another context to the same story, and I connected it to the heinous crimes that we know about in the Ahmaud Arbery case. In that case, we've actually seen it, and I connected it to other heinous crimes we know about. Now, had I told the story differently originally and had a more serious ending, you might have even more powerfully seen the link between my behavior and those egregious events. The race method that I teach prepares you to skillfully use your own stories to educate people about racism. For the people of transformative compassion, the call of allyship today is to learn how to mine your own experiences and your own point of view to find tools that will help you have conversations that are honest, connecting, and that represent you doing your part to dismantle racism.